stand?
No, I want you to sit down.
Well, welcome, Warren and Barbara. Thank you for joining us tonight. We greatly appreciate it.
It's not on. I don't think the speaker's on.
People hear me okay? There we go. Thank you all for coming tonight. We're here to extend our thank you to Warren and Barbara Hamm for their years of service to St. Albans and Franklin County. We greatly appreciate everything you've done, and you're gonna hear from a number of folks extending their thank yous as well. To begin with, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't, Barbara, just stay back.
You sit it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank the honor guard from the 1st Squadron 172nd Cavalry Regiment located in here in St. Albans at the Armory. I just want to make people aware of on May 11th, they will be in a deployment send-off in Taylor Park starting at 14:30. And I'd like to extend a special thank to Major Zach Fike, who's the commander of the 1st Squadron National Guard. So thank you, Commander, we appreciate that. And we'd also like to thank the Franklin County, Vermont Honor Detail as well. And we appreciate you folks being here tonight as well. As many of you are aware, we're here to share our appreciation and thank you with both Barbara and Warren Hamm and the impact that they've had on our community over the past 30 years, 35 years. This is something that when we were made aware of Barbara and Warren moving to the DC area, Emerson Land, myself, and Dominic Cloud felt it was important that we do a proper send-off for the Hamms and make sure they understand how greatly appreciated you are in this community, and we really appreciate everything you've done. So before I get started, Warren, I just have to put my coat on. Got my. Now, Warren, you're probably wondering, was Tim in the Navy? And no, that wasn't the case, but I got my pea coat. This was made available to me by Commander Pete Files.
Oh, nice.
So, make you feel at home a little bit.
Yeah.
Tonight, I'd like to first invite up the Reverend James Ballard, deacon serving the St. Luke's Episcopal Church. So, James, come on up.
I can take this off. Hate to admit it, but as an introvert, it's great to go first. Barbara and Warren, as it says in the good book, those who honor the Lord, he will honor. Now here comes the story, a little story. When the Nazis first took over Austria, they did not lose any time before they arrested any opposition and anyone who was Jewish. In Vienna, the capital, a young Jewish girl was riding the bus from work going home. Suddenly, the bus stopped, and the Nazi troops came aboard. They were checking everybody's identification papers. The young girl was sitting toward the back of the bus. She noticed they were taking Jewish people off. They were arresting them. The closer they came, she was shivering with fear. All of a sudden, the man sitting next to her started yelling and swearing at her. The troopers quickly went over to see what the commotion was all about. The man said, "This wife of mine left her papers at home, her identification papers at home. Can you believe it?" The troopers laughed and they left the bus. The young woman later was able to flee to Switzerland, which was neutral, then finally came to the United States, the land of freedom, the land of hope. She never knew the man who saved her life. The man's unexpected good deed easily can be related to Warren and Barbara, for they are ready and have been so many times to help those in need or an organization in need. Sure, tonight we honor them, and they've been honored to the media for their many contributions to the community. Yet we will never, never fully acknowledge or know just how much they have given of themselves to this community, to the state, to the nation, and yes, the world. We know that God's steadfast love will be with them, even as they go beyond the borders of Vermont. As it says in Genesis, "Be you sure that I am with you, and I will keep you safe wherever you go. Go in peace to love, to serve, and to honor God." Alleluia, alleluia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deacon. Now I'd like to call up representing the St. Albans Museum, Liz Gamache and John Newton.
And I'll invite
Oh.
other members of the Sam Museum to join me if that's okay.
You can introduce them all, Liz?
Good evening, Barbara and Warren. It's so nice to see you. Hi. On behalf of the St. Albans Museum Board of Trustees, we are all so honored to be here with you to present you with a token of our deepest appreciation for all that you have done, not only to support the museum, but to support our community at large. We have a plaque for you that we hope will help to recognize the lasting legacy that you leave with our community and to extend our thanks to you for your leadership and your dedication.
Thank you.
It's sometimes said that it's sometimes said that preserving history is about the future as much as it is about the past. And as I think of the contributions that you have made, I think this is absolutely true. Warren, and along with you, Barbara, you have been helping to keep local history alive in our community. But you have also taken it much further, because in all that you have done in service to our community, you have also been making the history that we'll be talking about tomorrow. And we thank you so much for that. It's because of your determination, Warren, to see our museum succeed, that St. Albans Museum has become not only an important but a lasting part of our community. Running a museum is no easy task, and we know that you will be the first person to share the credit with all those around you. But this is our opportunity to say thanks to the two of you, and to recognize that no one can do everything. Everybody can do something, and you have taught us how some people can do so many somethings, and you have inspired us to do so much ourselves, and we will follow in your footsteps to the best that we can. So a few things that we'd love to remember with you tonight is your boldness and your vision for the future. You dared to dream of things that others might not have thought of to do, and you accomplished them. We think about, for example, the effort to place the elevator in place at the museum that made the Bliss Room come alive and become the place for so many of us to gather as a community to share camaraderie and celebrate our community together. And who would have ever imagined, except perhaps for you, that 10,000 people would carry memories from Taylor Park of a weekend when we celebrated the 150th anniversary of the raid. You brought history alive for us. You helped us to think of what's important, what makes us who we are, and what to carry into the future. So, dear friends, we are so very grateful for all that you have done, all you have taught us. We're going to miss you. We're going to have another plaque that we'll keep in the lobby of the museum, honoring you, Warren, and your lasting legacy. And wherever we go in St. Albans, we will never feel far from you. You'll always be in our hearts, and we will see you in all the nooks and crannies of our community, and we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best wishes to you. Did I miss anything? Okay.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you, Museum Board. I just want to, Pete, I'm digging this jacket. I don't know if you're going to get it back. Fits me pretty good. We'd also like to, actually, John, I should have had you stay up here. Representing the St. Albans Rotary Club will be John Newton. Thank you, John. I would also share, Warren, there's a few members of the Rotary Club, Mark McGinn, Tom Hungerford, and Dave Kimmel, who are still in Florida, and they were very sorry they were not able to attend tonight, but they wanted to make sure I extended their congratulations and appreciation for everything you've done. So.
Thank you. Both Warren and I joined the St. Albans Rotary Club about 30 some odd years ago. Rotary is a service organization with a motto, service above self, and a mission to improve both the local community and the worldwide community with 1.2 million members and a Rotary presence in almost every nation of the world. And like all Rotary clubs, St. Albans Rotary Club accomplishes this mission of meeting the needs of our community, first by fundraising, and second by redistributing those funds in response to local requests. And back then, Admiral, you may remember that our primary fundraising effort was conducting an auction in the summer in Taylor Park. And members like you and I solicited donations from individuals and businesses, and these were collected and offered at auction. Well, this did raise some money, but too often, much of what was offered was not sold, and much of it winding up being sold to members at the next regular club meeting. Those of you who knew Bob Bliss was a master at telling the members what they wanted and what they were going to pay for it. And non-attendance was not an excuse. Bob said you bought it anyway. The auction at the park was not a success. So Warren suggested an art auction as an alternate fundraiser, and working with several Rotarians and a commercial art auction house, it accomplished that. An evening auction at City Hall ran for 2 years. The first year, quite successful. The second year, not quite so successful. So Warren suggested a home and recreation multi-day show at Collins Pearly. Well, we know that now as Expo. And working with many club members and ironing out a lot of wrinkles, Expo has run successfully, well, with the exception of the last couple of years, has become really a fundraising machine for the club. And actually the envy of most of, in fact, all of the other Rotary clubs in our district. We've had to pause for 2 years, but we'll be back in 2022. And once again, Warren demonstrated that by rallying the entire membership to tackle those obstacles, one by one, that the impossible became possible. In 2024, the St. Albans Rotary Club will celebrate 100 years of service to this community. It will do so because it is a vibrant and enthusiastic club, because of the legacy of Admiral Warren Hamm, who exemplifies the spirit of service above self. Warren, as you and Barbara take leave of the ship St. Albans for what comes next, we wish you smooth sailing. Thank you both. Keep in touch. Godspeed.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm not sure if folks had, many of you had a chance to look at the insert that was in the messenger yesterday. I would encourage you to take a closer look at some of the photos that are in there, or the paintings. Those are all done by Barbara. Unbelievable job, Barbara. If you get in your new home, if you begin to struggle for finances, give me a call and I will buy some of those from you, okay?
We need you.
Okay. I'd like to invite Dr. Steve Brower to come up, Director of Behavioral Health Services at Northwest Counseling and Support Services.
Good evening. I'm a director of a public mental health agency, which is struggling to meet the needs of our community in many ways. And what a really bright story to share about the Hamms. We have an event that we've been running, I think we're going on our 20th year. It's called Night of the Arts. And it's really to celebrate those individuals who struggle with mental illness, their talents and abilities, which oftentimes get overlooked. And the Hamms, particularly Barbara and her love of the arts and her talent, have encouraged us over the years and even encouraged us to go big. And we used to just do this event in one of our conference rooms and what have you. And We're approaching our 20th year, and we've actually, the last several years, have been at the Bliss Auditorium. And what a night. Picture this, a night in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. Family members coming out for individuals who struggle with most of the times very severe mental illness. And they're sharing their gifts. In the back of the room, there's artwork, there's knitting. Up on stage, people are singing, there's poetry. It's a night where I know when I look around, and I look more at the audience oftentimes to see family members celebrating their family members in a good place. And I can tell you we've been doing it for years, and everybody has a good time. And the Hamms have supported us in this. And it's a powerful event because it also makes the community much more aware that we are a community and we struggle in different ways, and we can also celebrate our recovery. And it's been a powerful event for us, and the Hamms have challenged us to make it better every year. So I just wanted to share that story and thank you for what you've done for us and the community.
Thank you, Steve. What a lot of people may not know is that this was supposed to happen in August, this event. I had spoken to Warren, Emerson, and I, and we originally, the Hamms were going to put the house on the market and look to move in August. And Emerson and Dominic and myself said, well, why don't we do a community event in Taylor Park? We should be moving past the COVID pandemic piece of it, where more of the community could go to the park and greet Warren and Barbara. And then, as luck would have it, they sold their house in one day. And we had 3 weeks to change our plans. And with the help of the messenger and all of you, we've been able to pull this together in appreciation for Warren and Barbara. So there was something much bigger planned, Warren and Barbara, but COVID and a few other things have forced us to go this, and I'm not saying this is bad by any means. This is, I want to thank everyone who is here tonight. We really appreciate everyone who is here and making comments as well. From the city of St. Albans, and Dominic, as you know, Warren had to go to Boston, so I was unable, but I want to make a presentation to you. And this is on behalf of both the museum and the city of St. Albans. But we reached out to Senator Leahy and we asked if there could be a flag that was flown over the Capitol in both Warren and Barbara's names. And he graciously agreed and turned it around very quickly. I will read you how it reads. So the flag of the United States of America, this is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of Senator Patrick Leahy. The flag was presented to Rear Admiral Warren Hamm and Barbara Hamm in recognition of their service to their community and the state of Vermont, April 2021.
Very nice, thank you.
So, I'll show you that.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's
I will
beautiful.
hold that up for folks to. I hope you have wall space at the new homestead, Warren. So, we'd like to thank Senator Leahy for making that happen as well, and the beautiful frame job that the Village Frame Shop did for us. So.
Yeah, my son Skipper's gonna wonder where to pack.
I was wondering about that. I'd like to invite Melody Tebow, Commander of Post 1 American Legion and Post 1 American Legion Rider. And at this time, I'd also once again like to thank the Franklin County, Vermont Honor Detail for being here tonight.
How are you? Good. Your girlfriend is right over there, Barbara. She's right over. Yep, she's right there waiting for you. The little dog is her best friend, and she just loves her. Every time she sees her, she cuddles her, and she has been watching Barbara since they entered in here. So she knows Barbara's in the room. I have 2 uniforms on because I kind of cover several different hats, and it makes it kind of strange. But when I first met Warren and Barbara, Warren had decided that there was a need in our community that wasn't being met. He knew that we had enlistment people to bring in new service personnel. He also knew that there was family support groups, which took care of many families and service personnel also. But the one need that we didn't have was anybody to cover our veterans when they passed. And Warren decided to get a hold of a group and ask if anybody would volunteer. And as you can see, we had several that volunteered. Then he reached out to the Rotary Club, which very graciously supported us with monetary monies to have our very fancy uniforms. And as we grew, we needed more uniforms, and Warren reached out to the Rotary again, and he provided us with that. So he has covered many areas in that respect for the Franklin County, Vermont Honor Detail. He also shared much knowledge with Post-1 American Legion, which we really appreciate. He helped us to get things under control, and whenever we were stumbling, he stepped forward and kind of gave us his valuable knowledge to help us get on the right track and handle things in proper details. So today, I'm here covering several areas, and I would like to invite Homer Weatherby from the Franklin County, Vermont Honor Detail Commander, Alan Brown from Post 758 from the VFW, and also he is the president of 753 Vietnam Veterans of America. I'm covering for Post 1. I am the commander for the Post 1 American Legion and also the Legion Riders for Post 1. And we would like to present Barbara and Warren with a clock. And of course, we all know that Barbara counts hours from 1 to 12. So it shows 1 to 12. But we know that Warren, well, he never got used to 1 to 12. So yes, it does have 1 to 24 for Warren. The inscription says, "In appreciation of Rear Admiral and Mrs. Hamm from the St. Albans Veteran Organizations 2021. It is from all the groups together. We decided to pool together because he's helped so many veterans in so many ways. We also have the Vietnam Navy coins collection that we would like to present to Warren. And Mrs. Hamm.
Oh, aren't they beautiful? Oh, they're beautiful.
We're very much going to miss you, both of you. And my poor little dog, Kamiko Lee, Barbara, I don't know what she's going to do without you. You snuggled her at so many meals and so many outings that she's over there whining because she wants you to say hello before you leave. Thank you very much, folks.
We were going to do this event also outside at Taylor Park today. I gave Emerson one task, and that was to control the weather. He failed me again, yeah. As I've spoken with people about what we were doing here this evening, it was amazing in this small town how many individuals actually had military contact with you, Warren, throughout your career. Major General Knight is here, back there. He shared that with me tonight. I think hopefully he shares that with you where that was. A gentleman that we rent an office to, Chris Santee, said you were his first commanding officer when he first joined the Navy. And now we have Commander Pete Files, retired, who would like to come up and share a story as well about his interaction with you as Pete, 12-year-old maybe? How old were you? How old were you? 10. And he'll share this story, which I love the story.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim and Emerson, for the opportunity to make a few comments. Good evening, Mrs. Hamm, Admiral Hamm. It's an honor to be here. They say if you, a good symbol or a good sign that you've had a successful Navy career is if you've been tapped on the shoulder to be a commanding officer of a ship. And Admiral Hamm was tapped 4 times for that. And in addition to that, he was a commander of an amphibious group, which is multiple ships at once. A lot of responsibility, personnel, hardware, pretty incredible. And moving forward in his career beyond that even, he was head of the Military Sea Lift Command, which probably has more ships, or you probably had more ships under your umbrella than most countries have in their entire Navy. And then when you got tapped to be the commander of U.S. Naval Forces Korea, as we all know, a very strategic, sensitive, and critical part of the world, it just kind of shows you the amount of trust and confidence that our military and government leaders have in your ability. Well, backing up a little bit, I would call it probably mid-career for Admiral Hamm. He was one of those 4 ships he was CO of was the Richard E. Byrd, which back in 1967 was a state-of-the-art, one of the Navy's newest and state-of-the-art guided missile destroyers. And it was in Norfolk, Virginia at the time, and we were living, my family, we were living in Virginia Beach. My dad, who was also in the Navy, was a fighter pilot flying out of Oceana, which is the air station there in Virginia Beach. And Admiral Hamm was kind enough, generous enough to invite my dad and I out to the ship for a tour one Saturday. So, of course, we took him up on that offer, went out to the naval station, parked the car, walked down the pier up to the ship, met Admiral Hamm, who was then Commander Hamm, at the quarterdeck, and he gave us this incredible tour of this beautiful warship. We went all over. We went down into engineering, saw these huge power plants, engines down there, into combat where you have all the radars. That's the dark room you probably see on TV with all the red lights and green lights, with all the sonar and radar. Went up to the forecastle where the anchor chain is. I couldn't get over the size of the links of these anchor chain. Then up to the bridge where Admiral Hamm probably spent most of his time when the ship was at sea. And then after the tour was over, we were headed back down to his import cabin. Commanding officers on ships usually have 2 cabins. One is their at-sea quarters, which is a small, about the size of a walk-in closet. It's right behind the bridge. And that's where the commanding officer would spend the night when the ship's underway. He's literally just feet away from the bridge. If there's an issue or something like that where it needs his attention right away, he can be there in seconds. When the ship is in port overseas, or whatever, he has an import cabin, which has a few more amenities. It's about the size of a hotel room. It's got a conference table in there. It's where you can host dignitaries and VIPs. It also, with that, right attached to it is a galley, the commanding officer's galley, small galley. And along that, with the galley, you have a mess cook who was assigned to the galley. And the mess cook has other collateral jobs, but his primary job is he's the cook for the captain. And the captain usually has his meals there in the import cabin. And as I said, that's a place where he hosts dignitaries and VIPs and that sort of thing. And my dad and I, obviously, were no VIP or dignitaries, but we enjoyed the opportunity. Well, anyways, long story short, as we go down to the import cabin, as we're about to walk into the import cabin, I noticed we went right by the galley, and the door to the galley was open. And I just happened to turn my head the right way and look in the galley and saw there was this chocolate cake on the counter of the galley. I don't think my dad saw it, but I did. And we continued on into the import cabin, sat down at the conference table, and my dad thanked Admiral Hamm for being so generous of his time to give us this tremendous tour. You know, it just doesn't get much better than that, getting a personal tour of a beautiful ship from the captain himself. And after that, Admiral Hamm asked me, he said, well, Pete, are you hungry? Would you like something to eat? What would appeal to you? And before my dad could say, you know, he's good, he doesn't need anything, thank you, blah, 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 you know, I said, boy, a slice of chocolate cake would be nice. Great. And my dad looked at me with these laser beam eyes. And the mess cook, I didn't realize, must have been standing in the back of the room. He went to the galley, cut a slice of this chocolate cake, and brought it to me. And within about 20 seconds, there was a piece of chocolate cake in front of me. And on the ride home, well, up until that point in my life, my dream when I grew up was to be a fighter pilot, Navy fighter pilot like my dad. But on the ride home, I was starting to give that some second thoughts, and I said, well, maybe being CEO of a destroyer is not too shabby. So, but I do have one small gift. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, Admiral and Mrs. Hamm, obviously you're going to be headed south shortly. I've got a bottle of wine here, and it's a commemorative bottle of wine from the USS Ronald Reagan. And I thought it'd be something you could christen your new quarters with when you move in down there. So, and fair winds and following seas. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I'd like to invite up Emerson Lynn. I'd just like to thank Emerson and his team at the Messenger for the piece they put in the paper yesterday. If you don't have a copy, there's more up here. I've heard nothing but great comments about it. It really hit home. I thought the photos of Barbara and Warren were just excellent, and I know Emerson and his staff put a lot of time in. So, Emerson.
Thanks, Timmy. And before we begin, I'd also just like to echo what Timmy said. There you go. And thank Gary Witkowski from former times for stepping forward and helping us put that together. You did a superb job and really appreciate that. I know Warren and Barbara appreciate it as well. When I was told Warren and Barbara were leaving St. Albans, the words seemed at war with one another. They were one and the same. How could forces that had been united for so long be split apart? It was like being told the tides need to stop, that the clouds could not gather. It was a struggle to imagine what was beyond their departure. But that's a struggle for another day. The reason we're here tonight is to say thank you, something we do too seldomly. To let them leave without the full expression of our gratitude would not only be wrong, but weaken what they have helped us build. We stand upon each other's shoulders to reach where we could not before. It's a unique strength forged in trust and relationships. It needs to be recognized, valued, and built upon. Standing together tonight helps us to do just that. When we put together the special section on Warren and Barbara's lives, it began with a story and then quickly mushroomed into a list of accomplishments and profound public gratitude. Letters poured in, filling page after page. People shared memories and remembrances. All shared the common denominator belief that the Hamms had made us better, a stronger community. Everyone said thank you. We all made the same wish for them as we wish for ourselves, which is love, strength, and good health. Along with our good wishes come more than a tear of regret, even a small dollop of foreboding. What happens next? Who steps up to meet needs unmet? Will it all screech into silence? But that's the power and the beauty of example. Beyond all that the Hamms have given us, what they leave us of lasting value is the call to step up, to understand that material things never give you the hug back some expect, and it's okay. It's about picking up the loose strands to weave them into something stronger. It's about spreading the message of engagement, of service above self. It's about spending more time building the barn than kicking it down. I have great hope for what I call Greater St. Albans. We've come so far, and credit for much of that progress goes to many who are in this room tonight, which is why you're here. The cause remains, the task unfinished. You understand and applaud the value and the power of Warren and Barbara Hamm's example. It's a yoke that you're willing to shoulder. Looking back on their lives, I have the sense that Warren and Barbara played every card in their hands, every card, and that they preferred it to leaving a deck full of regrets and what-ifs. As Warren was quoted saying, he would not change a thing. They have no regrets. They left no what-ifs. Theirs is a light that shines out of well-lived lives, and it's ours to find as well. No regrets, no what-ifs. I can say with assurance that the way to thank the Hamms is to emulate them. What they helped start, we can nourish. It invites the age-old question, when's the best time to plant a tree? The best answer? 30 years ago. The second best? Now. The Hamms came back 33 years ago and planted their trees. It's time others follow their example and plant their own. That's how to say thank you, in a way to bring a forever smile to the Hamms' hearts. So on behalf of those at the St. Albans Messenger and those in this room tonight, it's my honor and my blessing to be able to present to you your own personalized copies of the community's thank you for all that you've done and all that you both represent to St. Albans. I know you're off this long. Are yours?
Oh my gosh.
And one there's yours.
Oh,
And I want you to open up the front page.
oh my gosh, again.
Yeah. And then the back.
Oh, this is a lovely one. Yeah. And here comes, they're all nice.
So what we tried to do is create kind of almost like a coffee book presentation of the supplement that we had in Messenger. And then we put a lot of Barbara's pictures tucked inside as well.
Well,
So
thank
it's
you.
so that when they meet their friends in their new home, they can just offer this, and their new friends will understand the value that
That's very nice.
they've given our community. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I can't help but think, as I sat on the stage, why am I the MC and not Emerson Lynn? With a man like that who can share words like that, that's Emerson, that was beautiful. Thank you very much. Did you take my agenda?
Do you need it?
Well, this is all ad lib.
It is.
Oh, there it is, thank you. This is our last presentation. What's that?
You're gonna give me a chance to say a couple words?
Oh, I don't think so, no. Yeah. This is our last presenter, Warren. And I'm honored to welcome Major General Gregory Knight from the U.S. Army National Guard. Major, thank you for coming. I know you have a busy schedule. We appreciate what you are about to present. We're excited. And thank you for coming to St. Albans and honoring the Hams.
Honored to do it. Thanks, Tim. Good evening, everybody. Absolute pleasure and an honor to be here. Warren, Barbara, thank you so much for all you've done. Warren, if you remember the first time we met, I was just hired here full-time at the St. Albans Armory. I think I was a brand-new lieutenant. And I remember there was an event at the Armory, and so I look, I don't know him. And I see this dynamic, energetic, in charge, directive, and I'm like, who is that? And I'm like, well, that's Admiral Hamm. Oh, okay. Well, now we know, most certainly. But it's an absolute pleasure for me to have an opportunity on behalf of the Vermont National Guard to thank you. Really, you heard what was said tonight. Emerson, wonderful, very powerful. What I'll present you in some regards is inadequate for your service to your community, to your state, and to your nation. But it certainly is a token and a representation of our appreciation for you. So if you would all join me, stand if you're able, for our military and Legion personnel. Go to the position of attention, please. Captain Golan, you want to use the mic? You can stay.
Attention orders.
If you would.
This is to certify that the Adjutant General of the State of Vermont has awarded the Vermont Distinguished Service Medal to Rear Admiral Retired Warren C. Hamm, Jr. for distinguished and meritorious service to the state of Vermont and the Vermont National Guard. Rear Admiral Warren C. Hamm exemplifies selfless service, dedication, and loyalty to all he comes in contact with. He is clearly an example of service before self for all to emulate, always giving back to his community and state and making lives better for others. His clear vision, leadership, and ability to build successful partnerships has positively impacted our communities, with his tireless engagement having profound influence and lasting impact on Vermont. Rear Admiral Hamm's long-lasting tenure in Vermont has left an indelible mark, one that will carry on in the community, the region, and the state. The distinctive accomplishments of Rear Admiral Hamm reflect the highest credit upon himself, the Vermont National Guard, the state of Vermont, and the United States Navy. Given under my hand in Colchester, Vermont, this 20th day of April, 2021, signed Gregory C. Knight, Major General, the Adjutant General.
Thank you.
Well done, sir. I should probably put my mask on for appropriateness. Can you hang on to that? Yep.
There you go.
I want the governor to yell at me.
Because this is going in the paper.
Yeah.
It's okay. You've been
They can yell at me, they can't yell at you.
Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for everything for us. Before I get done, Tim, I've got one more thing. Thank you, everybody. We can grab a seat. So very quickly, and I forgot to mention, Admiral, you can certainly sit down. If you remember, I started my military career also in a seagoing service. It was a smaller service, a little older than the Navy. You're familiar with the United States Coast Guard? Yeah. It's that hard nucleus around which the Navy forms in time of war. Well, if you remember that. Barbara, I would also like to thank you. And when you get to certain positions of rank and authority, they give you things to recognize excellence and good work. So I have my coin here with my 2 stars on it, and it has our 3 colonel level commands and our fighter wing insignia on here. And I want to thank you, Barbara, because what it says on the back, presented for excellence, put the Vermonters ahead. And you know a little bit about history, Admiral. So prior to Gettysburg, the 6th U.S. Corps, under the command of General John Sedgwick, was in Maryland. And they had gotten word that there was a large fight brewing in Gettysburg. And when he'd heard that, General Sedgwick said, put the Vermonters ahead and keep the column well closed. And they made that 36-mile forced march to Gettysburg and marched into the fight. And General Sedgwick said that because he knew Vermonters had a reputation for hard fighting and hard marching. And you all have done that here, fighting for your community and marching us towards what we know we want to emulate as you start your new beginnings in D.C. So thank you, Barbara. I'd like to present this to you if I could.
Thank you, Major. Greatly appreciated. Warren, I mentioned earlier I wasn't going to mention this, but I did. I'm going to point this out that you were late tonight. Okay? Oh, Skipper? Yeah, Skipper's fault. We thought you'd blame it on him. If you have that paper in front of you, what we've heard tonight is just a small sampling of the impact that Barbara and Warren have had on St. Albans. There are so many. I encourage you to look through that list. It's very impressive. You know, I know that Warren and Barbara were active with the St. Albans Library as well. We haven't really touched on the 150th anniversary of the raid. There are just so many activities and events that you've been involved with, and you know, I would leave you with this before you come up to say some words. Is I would ask that we give the Hams a standing ovation, and we'll leave you with that, Warren, and then you can come up and say your comments. Thank you.
I'm just about speechless with this whole operation. Number one, this was a huge surprise. And the messenger and you gathering here and what was said makes me extremely humble. I wonder why I'm here, but I gotta admit, the past 30 years has been extremely busy. So I don't think I've sat around and done nothing, but I sure appreciate it. And the last thing I did would be to do what I did with some expectation of something tremendous like this. So I have a couple little remarks, and my remarks reflect Barbara's thoughts and appreciation also. But I grew up, of course, in St. Albans, and you were a Vermonter. My mother had come from New York State, my father, Massachusetts. and they ran a pretty taut ship. But she had a lot of good thoughts that she passed on to me, and I used them in the Navy. Pretty good. She said, always remember, you work for your boss doesn't work for you. And that if you don't like somebody, keep looking until you find one little thing about that person you like, and pretty soon you see it expands and you like the individual. And I applied those things in the Navy, and they worked pretty well. These accomplishments or things that I got involved with, I must emphasize that none of them could have been possible without the fantastic people that hopped aboard to help me. If anybody thinks you can do something alone, they're smoking pot. It's got to be a team that does it and who takes responsibility for the whole thing. I mean, my God, I was a naval officer, and the last thing I had to do in the Navy was to raise money. I come back to St. Albans, that's all I seemed to have done, was to raise money. And you wonder, why did people walk on the other side of the street when you came down? But I did it, and I believed in it, so therefore I was able to do it. But it's just amazing what one does that you never thought you would get involved with. X number of years ago, when I was in 4th grade, they put on a Tom Thumb wedding, and I was the best man. And here in the City Hall, could you imagine if back at that time somebody said, X number of years from now, you're going to be here doing what you're doing? You couldn't have envisioned it. So anyway, a couple quick little stories I think are they have a point. My first assignment in the Navy was aboard a destroyer. And I was the damage control assistant engineer. And we were responsible for all the systems in the ship. As Peter mentioned, the captain has 2 cabins. One smaller cabin up on the bridge, the sea cabin, and it has a head in it, a toilet. And the flush water comes off the fire main. And the fire main on a Navy ship, 100 pounds per square inch. And then, of course, you wouldn't want that in the sanitary system. It'd blow you off the head. So there's a reducing valve that reduces it down to 35 pounds per square inch. Okay, the ship I was on, every time it went into port, the ship would sit there, and the fire main fire pumps would suck in the harbor water, and with it would be seaweed, and that would plug up the reducing valve. So there was no flushing water in the captain's head. So the first thing that happened after you get to sea, the ensign ham report to the bridge. I'd go running up there, and the captain wants to see you. He doesn't have any flushing water. So this went on for a couple of months, and I was just a brand new ensign in the Navy. So I went back to the shipfitter shop, and I went in there, and I said, man, I don't ever want to go to that bridge and have them tell me that the captain doesn't have any flushing water. I should have known. Don't ever say something like that. Because I'm sure they laughed like hell when I left. So they went up there and they took out the reducing valve. So the next time we got underway, the captain flushed it. He was on the head. He flushed it. He got a douche. So the next thing happened, ensign ham report to the bridge immediately. So I got up there and the OD said, oh, the captain's really upset. So I went back there, I opened up the door, I can see it now. There was water dripping off the overhead, and he had a big one-way conversation. But the moral of the story is, don't ever tell the sailors you don't ever want to do or see something again, because I'll tell you, that will happen. So anyway, my mother had another sort of philosophy, and I also had it. I got it when I grew up, that you should always set your sights on the stars. Don't set your sights to the top of the mountain. You may not even get out of the valley. And so I look around, I see other people who have made admiral or done this or done that, and I couldn't see if they did it, why couldn't I? So that was my philosophy, that by God, if they could do it, I certainly should. And so I think your own personal thoughts have a great deal to where you go in this life. And like Tim said, I look back and I would not change a single thing that happened to me. And I think that's, if you go through life like that, you're bound to be a success. I do want to thank all the people, and especially the Honor Guards and the National Guard, for their fantastic support and being good Americans. I never had worked with the National Guard too much, but back here I did a great deal. I have nothing but the greatest respect for them. I was in the Naval Reserve for a little while, but it takes a lot of effort to do your regular job and then take care of your military responsibilities, because neither people understand the other side of the coin. So you've got to make it work. Emerson, I got to thank you so much, because as many a time I've gone down, we've talked and said, can we pull this 150 thing off, and so forth and so on. And with good guidance and enthusiasm, we had some pretty successful operations. I mean, the 150th of the St. Albans raid, I mean, that took 3 years to plan. And everything went meticulously, except the fantastic screen we had up there was $8,000. And then we had a guy with the audio, and come the big event, they started talking, didn't hear a thing. For $8,000, jeez. Anyway, so they got that fixed. But anyway, part of the business, and that's the way it was. But thanks so much for all your support, and it's going to be tough to leave because of you all, the friendships, and the ability to get things done. And I hope you continue, because all you got to do is look around and see things that need to be done. And instead of wondering who's going to do it, damn it, do it yourself. And call upon your friends. That's what friends are for. You soon lose quite a few, but seriously, the good friends hop aboard and help you out. I was up at the hospital a couple times and standing out there, and you see people with canes and walkers sort of hobbling up that little ramp to the front entrance. I thought, my God, what in the world? This is not right. And so got hold of a couple of veterans, we talked about it, and we formed the valet service. Nobody told us to do it, and nobody told us how to do it. We just did it. And thanks to the virus, that's temporarily stopped. And we hope that will start up again. So other than that, I've talked enough, and we sure are going to miss you. And we'll be in touch. And we're going to live in this place that's going to be less than 1/3 the size of our current house, but it's all geared to older people. I don't know what that means, but I don't feel old. And so I guess that's it. Do you want to say anything, Barbara? Other than thank you?
I can't.
Oh, yes. She can talk when she wants. But, so thanks again, and the best for you.
You're welcome, Warren. Thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate it. It's an honor to know you, Warren. Honor to have you and Barbara in the community, and I just want to thank you for everything you've done. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Have a good night.